What's so fascinating about Klay Thompson is we're seeing something that is incredibly rare from Klay Thompson. We're seeing a star try to figure out in real time how to deal with his sports mortality. That's life, things. The older you get, the more tread that you put in your body, the further and further away that you get from your apex. The further and further away you get from your magnum opus, I guess. And for some players, they're able, you don't really have to see them deal with it because they retire. Or they were never that great to begin with, so the fall wasn't as steep. Some players, you don't get to see it. Injuries can just, they go from injured or great injured and they're just gone. But what you're seeing out of Klay Thompson is a person that is fighting it. And there are some nights when it seems that Klay Thompson is accepting it. Then there's some nights that he's not accepting it at all. Actually, let me say, most nights he's not accepting it at all. We talk about importance to teams, and we talk about dynasties. We talked about dynasty when we were talking about the Kansas City Chiefs. Klay Thompson is a major factor and a major reason why Golden State not only has 4 banners hanging up from 2015 to 2022 or to now, but he's one of the main reasons why the Golden State Warriors is valued at what they are, and they're one of the most marketable franchises in sports right now. When we talk about the great, when we give out credit, we always talk about Steph Curry, and rightfully so. And we always describe Steph Curry as the greatest shooter that God's ever created, greatest shooter ever, which is true. A lot of people want to accredit the dynasty to Kevin Durant, which I have no problem in. Kevin Durant obviously was a game changer. He is a top 10 or 15 to 10, whatever you want to call him, player of all time. Obviously, he was incredibly important in their success. But the thing about Klay Thompson is he has done things that neither Kevin Durant or Steph Curry has done. And I don't think they could do. I think Klay Thompson, in my opinion, you can argue if you would like, it's fine. But in my opinion, Klay Thompson is the second greatest shooter that the world has ever seen. And he's done things like 30. He has the most points in a quarter with 37. He has 60 points on like 11 dribbles. I'll say that again. 60 points on 11 dribbles. We talk about Game 6 Klay a lot and how a lot of the championships rested on him having to save the day, even with Kevin Durant, even with Steph Curry and Draymond Green. But what we're seeing now, this Klay is far from that Klay. And a lot of it is because of the injuries. He had 2 lower leg injuries that were season ending back to back. And while people want to say, well, he won the championships in 2022. Yeah, but you also realize that season was a struggle. He just caught fire at the right time. But even in the finals, he wasn't that good in the playoffs, actually. And we're seeing now Klay Thompson struggle with accepting that. We hear clips about it and whatever, but he's struggling. Now, Klay Thompson got benched. And that's kind of what I want to talk about right now. He got benched, and the first game he got benched, he dropped 35 points, season high. He looked like the Klay of old. I want to focus on that for a second, because that is Klay getting benched is major for the Golden State Warriors in a couple ways, and could do wonders for the Golden State, and also could hinder the Golden State Warriors. It's no question that Golden State has struggled this year. I mean, they're 26-26 going into the All-Star break. With this roster, they should be much better than that. So we don't need to. We've talked about it ad nauseum on this podcast multiple times. But I'll focus on Klay Thompson. Klay Thompson is having one of his worst seasons as a professional in his career, in his NBA life. He's averaging 17 points a game, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, shooting 42% from the field. That is some of the worst numbers he's had since his rookie year. And I said going into the season that the Golden State Warriors their championship hopes rest on 2 players' shoulders: Klay Thompson and Andrew Wiggins. Andrew Wiggins has been that we're not even going to talk about how he's done the first half of the season, but Klay Thompson has been vital for the Golden State Warriors, both success and not unsuccess this season. When he's been bad, he's been bad. Klay Thompson has tried to force things a lot, and he has been god awful in the fourth quarter a lot of times this season. I mean, we can talk about the blunder against who was it? The Clippers. But he's been bad. So when he gets benched and they play the Utah Jazz, and again he has 35, that can be a blessing for Klay Thompson. Because there is a difference, whether you want to admit it or not. Everyone's an NBA player that's in the NBA, obviously, but there is a difference between playing with a first unit and playing with the second unit. Because the second unit, you're not playing with, I mean, if you're on the second unit, more than likely you're not good enough to be on the first unit, or the first unit is better. So you get to Klay Thompson, as much as he's struggled, he's still a first unit player. So you're playing against it. It's kind of like when you see, for a lesser extent, obviously, when you see stars go to the G League, whether they come back from injury or they're struggling, they go to the G League, and then you look and they got like 58 points or something. And against, like, oh yeah, all right, okay. To a much better extent, because the people in the NBA are in G League, you're not playing against the same type of talent when you're playing against the second teams. So Klay Thompson, who's been struggling with his confidence, who's been struggling with his shot this year, he's able to play a little freer, because he knows that he's supposed to be better than the second teams. So he plays a little freer. He's able to get his mind right. He's able to focus on just what he has to focus on, and you see the game that he has. But another thing that I want to focus on, and when I said it can be a blessing or a curse, here's where the curse can come in. Steph Curry struggled. Steph Curry struggled against the Utah Jazz. Let me go to the box score for a second. Now, you can say that it was a back-to-back, which it was, but Steph Curry went 4 for 14, 2 for 8 from 3. He missed 2 free throws. He had 16 points. This is also coming off the night before he had like 40 or something against the Clippers. Now, is it Brandon? Bobby? Yeah, Brandon. I said Bobby. Brandon Pozinski has been great. Don't get me wrong. And quad as it's kept, Brandon Podziemski has played better than Klay Thompson this year. But here's where I said that Klay Thompson coming off the bench can be a curse for Golden State. I'm not the only person that thinks that, Steph Curry and Klay Thompson are arguably the greatest shooters we've ever seen. A lot of NBA teams think this. And whether Klay Thompson is having a bad season or not, that's still Klay Thompson. And you game plan differently going against someone like Klay Thompson. The spacing is different, especially in the backcourt. Well, and Podziemski has been great, but Podziemski's name doesn't hold the same weight, doesn't hold the same cachet as Klay Thompson. So defenses guard Steph Curry and guard the Golden State Warriors differently with Klay Thompson on the court and without him. So the defensive focus can be more on Steph Curry with Podziemski in the game, because people, while he can shoot, people aren't looking at his shot the same way they're looking at Klay Thompson's shot. So you can focus more on Steph Curry and contain him. Because I'm almost sure if you go into the game and say, if after the game, Brandon Podziemski had 40 points, he'd be like, damn, all right, well, nothing we can do. But if you go in there and say Steph Curry had 40 points and Brandon Podziemski had 13 and Jonathan Kuminga had 13 and Klay Thompson had 35, I was like, all right, obviously the scouting report wasn't, we didn't adhere to the scouting report. So what I'm saying is, yes, I think going to the bench is massive for Klay Thompson. I think that it'll help him in the long run. I still don't think I'm sorry, they're 27 and 26 right now. I still don't think Golden State is a championship team right now, because their biggest issue is height, and they continue to get killed on the glass, and they have a tough time finishing games. I think that they've lost like six or seven games after being up 15 or more points, including the Clippers game that we talked about. Yeah. But Klay Thompson, it is very fascinating, and sometimes it's sad, sometimes it's not, watching Klay Thompson deal with his basketball mortality. Because a lot of times, once a player gets to that point, they just retire. Like, we don't really get to see it in real time. So, especially a player at the heights that Klay Thompson was. Don't get me wrong, I know Klay Thompson isn't the face, or was never the face of Golden State, but Klay Thompson is a first ballot Hall of Famer. That should tell you all you need to know. As a second or third option, whatever you want to call them. Oh, man, you stayed to the end of the video. I appreciate you. If you like what you saw, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you'll never miss any content from your boy. You can also go back and watch past episodes, past clips, and don't forget that the Unpopular Podcast, new episodes drop every Wednesday and Saturday. Appreciate you.